These are my top 5 jobs to do in the garden for January. We often think of the winter as a time where we can put our feet up in the garden, not in the garden by a log fire with a hot chocolate and a book or something like that, or a good movie.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
When in actual fact, there's quite a lot to do. If you really want the garden to look spick and span, when you start putting in your borders and have your flowers blossoming and blooming everywhere, you need to make sure that the hardware in the garden, the backdrop and the trees and everything else are all trimmed and beautiful as well. So in this video, we're going to talk about the top 5 jobs to do in the garden in January. Before I do that, let me just quickly show you my website. All right, so welcome to my website. Here it is, and here's the home page with the various shops and clickable links here. At the bottom, you have Learn with Jill. So I'm going to be adding some courses in the near future, mainly art, possibly website builds if you want to do something similar. So make sure you subscribe if you think you're going to be interested in anything like that. Then if we scroll up to the top, you'll see the shops, the various categories, and you can see that there's a UK and a US store. And I will be adding an art shop for my oil paintings. You can buy my merch on almost all Amazon platforms. So although these are my own designs, they are all on Amazon. Which means that when you click on your own shop in your own country, you are shopping directly from Amazon in your own country. This also means that you have all the same great protections that Amazon offers you, such as great security, delivery, returns, all the safety that you get from shopping on Amazon, and the customer service, because you're buying really direct from Amazon. I also have colouring books with colouring demonstrations to show you how to colour in to the best effect. And I have some children's books too, one of which is arguably my most important book of all, which is teaching a cautionary tale, teaching your children about the dangers of talking to strangers online. So please check out my website, have a look around, and now let's get back to the video. All right, job number 1, trimming hedges and trees, and even planting trees. So if you have, like me, a crazy hedge that's got out of control over the summer, or maybe a few summers, as mine has been probably about 5 summers, then now is the time to trim it and shape it ready for spring, because the birds are not nesting right now, but they will be soon. So January is the best time to trim and shape your trees and hedges. And also, I have also planted a new hedge to cover my fence. So in the spring, of course, there will be even more places for birds to nest, which is absolutely just great news for all the birds in my garden and everything. All right, job number 2, pruning and mulching roses, and also planting roses if you've got bare root roses. So, when you're pruning your roses, you want to make them, these are shrub roses in particular, so you want to get rid of all the disease, all roses. Let's start with all roses. Get rid of all the diseased leaves and any sort of straggly sort of stems, just get rid of them. But if they were diseased, if you notice in the summer, if they had rust or black spot, don't put them on your compost heap. Don't even burn them. Just send them off. We have a green waste at our local council, and we can obviously dispose of all our green waste there. When you're cutting a shrub rose, what you want to do is you want to think of it as a goblet, sort of a bowl, a tall bowl shape. You don't want rose stems crossing over each other, so you want to cut those off because they will create disease where they rub. And you want to create airflow in between. So you want the roses stems to go outwards, and then you trim down to a bud that also goes outwards. And so that the stems don't cross over each other. That creates disease where they rub, and it also sort of just stagnates the airflow around the rose, so you get all those infections. So I do have a more in-depth video on my roses when I trimmed them down once and eradicated black spot. And to prevent the black spot is like a spore, it's like a fungal infection, and it's apparently all the spores are in the ground, and so that's why you would now apply, once you've trimmed your roses and disposed of all the diseased leaves and stems, then do a big thick layer of mulch, and that will prevent any of the spores that did get onto the ground, that did fall onto the ground, or any leaves you perhaps didn't pick up, didn't notice. Then if you cover everything with a very thick layer of mulch, and I mean thick, like a few inches, then that will prevent all these spores rising up and reinfecting your plant. Okay, job number 3, perennials. So I showed you in my previous video how I divided my Shasta daisies, which had been growing in a clump for sort of 2 to 3 years, and they just got too big, and they were mobbing that whole area of the border and sort of drowning out my nigella and other plants I had growing there. So even though we're even mobbing out my rose actually. So I dug that up and divided that into 3. So you dig it up and divide it with a spade or a knife, and then you can transplant it to other parts of the garden and leave it for another couple of years to get big again before dividing it again. And there are lots of perennials you can divide in this way. I'll link the video below of the Shasta daisies so you can see the technique that I used. Some of the other perennials that you can divide this way are delphinium, agapanthus, crocosmia, hostas, iris, ornamental grasses, salvias. I mean, for your best, if you're not unsure, just Google it and go to the RHS website or whatever trusted website you have in your country and sort of see if there's a list there of perennials that you can divide in winter. Okay, so job number 4 is sowing seeds. So I did a video on my 5 favourite cottage garden flowers that I like to sow in January, and one of those was poppies, and I also said bells of Ireland. What else do I do in January? Ranunculus, anemones, Shasta daisies, all sorts of things you can do in January. I did a lot of them through the winter sowing method, which again I will link that video below. And so job number 4 is sowing seeds. Job number 5 is the final one for just preparing the sort of the structure, the skeleton of the garden, ready for those gorgeous flowers or vegetable crops or whatever it is you're growing, and that is landscaping. So for me, I mean, I was hoping not to be landscaping every year, but it seems to me there's always something I want to do in the garden that requires hard landscaping. When I say hard, I do not mean concrete. There is no concrete in my garden that I put in. So landscaping. So for me, sometimes that is, this year has been taking down a pergola with a view to moving it over the other side of the garden. Also, I've been widening my borders because I realised they just weren't big enough last year. I did landscaping last winter and realised that it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. So now I'm re-landscaping it and refining it this January, trying to make them wider and to give the garden more order and more flow. So landscaping would be my final job. And that way, your garden might look kind of empty, but everything is going to be in order. You're going to have your topiary trees or your trim back trees. You've got your new hedge planted. You've got your borders widened. You've got your seeds ready to grow. And really, January is a great month actually for gardening. It's a really underrated gardening month. So they are my 5 jobs that I recommend you should do in January. And that way, when your billowing flowers come, they are going to be in this just wonderful ordered backdrop. So you're going to have this chaos against this kind of backdrop of order. And I think that kind of works even in a cottage garden. Anyway, I hope this helped. Thanks for watching. See you again in my next video. Bye.